Extras.
Where we talk about sex and all the extras.
I'm Honey.
And I'm Maria. But yeah, welcome back to the Friends and Friendship mini-series.
Yeah.
Where we're going to talk about, on this episode, we're going to talk about when friendship becomes more than friendship.
Yeah, exciting. I mean, also not exciting, depending how you look at it. So yeah, we're going to talk about like if you sleep with your friends, if you catch feelings for your friends, if you would sleep with your friends, and like what that means about your friendship. Because I feel like it's a very fine line.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, yeah, it can go either way. Like, it can be a really good thing or a really bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just feel like it really depends on the way you like look at friendship and relationships and like romantic and sexual attraction and we're like what role that plays and like what place that can have in your friendships.
We'll get into it. So we are going to start with a little segment, obviously, where we asked you guys, have you ever caught feelings for a friend, yes or no? And so 86% of people said yes and 14% of people said no.
So a pretty universal experience.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
The line is very fine.
Yeah. Very fine. So yeah, we asked people to tell us what happened. Did you end up confessing? Did you end up dating? Are you still friends? And someone said, I didn't do anything because I knew we were always going to be platonic. How did you know though?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. It's like, what are the signs that it's like this is definitely a platonic thing or this can be more? And clearly if for you it could have been more, then maybe it's just that the other person like was very clear that it wasn't for them. But yeah, I wish we knew more.
It's so scary that like you can think that a friendship is definitely like just platonic, but the other person's thinking like, oh no, it's like more than that.
Yeah, but clearly the two people maybe thought that it couldn't be more than that.
Exactly.
You know?
Like you just never
how
know.
can you have feelings? You know, like that's crazy that you can like literally feel a type of way about someone, but then know that it's like that can never be, even though it is already. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you already
exactly.
feel that way, yet you
so
know
like,
that it could never go that way.
Yeah, or you like you think you know kind of thing. Yeah, no, it's sad.
Anyway, the next person said she felt the same and we dated for 2 years and it was the best relationship ever.
Oh, that's
well, yeah,
cute.
They
cute
say date your best friend.
Story. Yeah, exactly. And like with friends, you already have that like good foundation. Usually, depends on the friendship, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, and the plus side, I feel like also if you're friends, like you know the person, so I feel like it'd be kind of easier to suss out like if they actually do like you back or not.
Yeah,
because you obviously know them and like you know what they're like when they like people and whatever.
I guess, yeah. if you've like seen that side of them, but if you have like a friend that you don't really know what they're like in those situations,
yeah,
I don't know. Because I do have some friends that I just like don't really know how they date. Like I've never witnessed them like flirting with someone or around people that they're dating kind of thing.
Yeah, true. But I feel like more like the way people are when you like have a crush on someone, you know. I feel like people change. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's true. You can see the change. Okay, yeah. The next one, someone said, sort of, I've got confused if I do because I get along with them so well. Yeah, that's kind of what we were saying. Like, it's hard to know when you actually like someone in a friendship way or if it's something more. But
do you find it hard to like people that you're really close with, you're not sure whether you like, has that ever happened to you, that experience?
I guess. Yeah, I think that's like a common experience, you know? But like, especially with a new friend, when you reach that like element of like comfortability where you start to like, you know you get like you have a friendship crush, but not in the way that like you have feelings for them, but like you're just like really wrapped up in your like new friendship and you're like having a like you really enjoy that person's company. When you reach that point, I feel like it can be confusing of like, oh shit, wait, do I like them as a friend or do I just like them as something more? But usually I feel like it becomes clear after like a short time. And I don't know, at least for me, I guess I'll get into it, but like at least for me, I know that if I have a crush, like it has to last for a certain amount of time for me to be like, okay, that's actually a crush rather than just like me
momentary
making things up in my head, you know. Yeah, I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm a bit more like rigid in my attraction to people in a way. Like that isn't to say that I haven't, like, you know, once you get to know someone, like you might start to find them a bit more attractive or things like that. But like I feel like pretty early on I know like whether I see someone as a friend or as something more than a friend.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, I completely like get that experience. I also feel like it's a very like bi girl experience, or like girls who like girls experience. Like I feel like that happens a lot where it's like, shit, are we just like really good friends, or like are we flirting right now, and that kind of thing. And it can be quite hard to tell, I feel. But yeah, I also don't know, because even though I'm bi, I also feel like most of my friendships are with girls, and like straight girls. Like I don't really have many guy friends, and like I've never been one to have that many guy friends. So I don't know. Yeah. Because like I just feel like I find it a lot easier to like bond with women when I know that like nothing, like that's not even a possibility. Yeah. Maybe like that's an aspect of it that I find like that I struggle with like being friends with guys, and like straight guys especially, obviously, because like what if there's like always an element of that, like,
yeah, no, I think that's,
you know, like, shit, like, do I like them, or like do they like me, or like, you know what I mean, like it could go there, you know what I mean. And maybe it's better when there's just no possibility at all, like just shut it off completely.
Yeah, no, I think that's like a concern for a lot of people, like a lot of women especially, because it's like, I mean, we'll get into it, we want to talk about like,
can guys and
straight guys
and straight girls be friends?
Yeah.
The next person said, we've been dating for almost 2 years now. Another success story. Yes, love it.
Love that for you.
Yeah.
Then someone said they liked me first, but by the time I caught feelings, they didn't like me like that anymore.
Ooh.
Sad.
That's the worst, like mismatched like attraction.
Yeah.
What could have been?
I know.
We also asked you guys if you've ever slept with your friend, and this one was a bit more even. So like 64% said yes and 36% said no, but still,
that's still quite a lot.
A big yes majority.
I wouldn't have expected that many people to have slept with a friend, like, because in our friendship group at least, like everyone's kind of slept with each other, but I kind of thought that was like unusual. Okay, not everyone, but like there's definitely some like incest.
Yeah, there has been some.
So yeah, I don't know, I just kind of thought that was like unusual for our friendship group, but I guess not. I guess everyone's just doing it and we don't know about it.
Everyone's just horny, and like, why not?
Horny, yeah.
Or maybe
maybe shouldn't go there.
But let's see what people like said about their experiences of that.
Someone said, I felt icky and kind of distanced myself for a while, but then we got over it. Okay, yeah, I feel like that's a common occurrence when you sleep with a friend. Like it's like, oh, should we have done that? I don't know, I don't want to look at you. And then after a while, it's like, whatever.
Yeah, someone else said, sex is a gateway to friendship in lots of cases.
Interesting approach. Controversial.
But maybe it's not controversial. Maybe our opinion is... Because, okay, my opinion is just that this isn't... I don't know. I don't think you should sleep with your friends, basically.
But what if you, like, have a one-night stand with someone, or you hook up with someone and then you become friends? Like, I do kind of see that. I do think that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's impossible. But then, like, then comes in the question of, like, okay, but if you're, like, attracted to your friend...
Are you really just friends?
Yeah, like, can friendship exist if there's attraction? Like, maybe it's not that big of an issue. Like, maybe we're making it into an issue. You know, clearly, like, a lot of people don't care.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a right or wrong, to be honest. Like, do whatever works for you.
But when I think of, like, my best friends, like you and, like, yeah... you I think you're beautiful, but I'm not like attracted to you.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like you can think your friends are fit for sure. Like, most people I reckon would think their friends are fit, but not to me, you know, like not for me to sleep with.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's how I feel about my most like secure, like close friendships, you know. So I just don't get how, yeah, maybe these are friends that you're like kind of a bit friends with, or like they're your like second tier friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But people do get feelings for their best friends, so that's like wild to me as well, because it's just, yeah, not happened.
Yeah.
It's not happened for me.
Exactly. I feel like it's like you just write, like for me, it's like you write it off in your mind. It's like, it's not like, you don't even wonder. Like, it just hasn't even crossed my mind, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I've never been like, oh, like, would I?
I guess, yeah, like when friends become like family, that's another like form of friendship becoming more than just friendship, but that's because it becomes so like removed.
Not sexual.
Yeah, it's like two ends of the spectrum. Yeah, it's really weird, but
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I think you could be friends with someone that you like slept with and you met them that way, and like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
I can't think of any examples of that.
and actually,
but...
I mean, yeah, like that happened to me, I guess. Like, the guy that I slept with at the beginning of uni, and then I basically met all like my uni friends and my current boyfriend through him, and like, we're not like besties, we're not like hanging out all the time or anything, but like, I'd say he's my friend, like, you know what I mean? And we stayed friends like after the fact, and like, yeah, but I guess that's the thing, I would never like become best friends with him, because like, I do find him attractive. That's the thing. And maybe it's because I'm like in a relationship, so that's just like a boundary that I would set like in my own mind, you know what I mean? But maybe not, like, I don't know, to me that wouldn't be like if I would secretly want to shag you,
you're not
like,
really
we can't really be friends. Yeah, exactly. Because like, we're not friends like that, at least, like, you know.
Yeah, people that like I'm attracted to and like nothing's happened yet, I find it hard to like be myself enough around them to class them as like a friend. So like I would never just make friends with someone that I'm attracted to with the hope that like one day something will happen.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's more about maybe the intent, like, as in if you've like thought about it, or if you're like, oh, like I want to shag them, or like I would shag them, or that kind of thing. Because I mean, like, I have shagged one of my friends, like closest friends.
Yeah.
And like, does that mean that I like find them attractive? Like, I don't think that that's really what it means, because like, I don't think it happened out of like, oh, we're attracted to each other. It kind of just happened. Like, it was more of a,
like,
but that's the
thing.
So I do think like a lot of situations can happen, and it wouldn't be like, it wouldn't mean anything or be the end of the world, because I'm not attracted to this person, even though I slept with them.
Yeah.
You know?
I get that.
So maybe it's just more about like your general like vibe towards the person.
Wow.
Just that so really caveats.
But really, that's the end of the episode right there.
But anyway, let's carry on. What else? Someone said it's like something that shall not be spoken, but we're still friends, and it's like it never happened.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A little blip.
Yeah, exactly. But, and I just think that sex doesn't always necessarily like mean anything. I do think that's true, and I also think it's true that you should probably still just not sleep with your friends, just in case, you know. Like, I just feel like it's unnecessary.
Especially
just sleep with
if you
other
want
people.
them around for like a long time. That's kind of my mindset, but I get that other people don't feel the same way.
And it cannot change anything, as we've said. Like, it can be the case that literally nothing changes, but I just feel like be on the safe side.
Yeah, I just feel like my general mindset is it's not like sex isn't worth enough in my mind to like sabotage the things that like I really value in my life. And I've said before that like friendship is one of like my main things in life. Like I would any day choose to hang out with my friends over like go on a date with some stranger and get laid, or like even someone that I know, even if I had a boyfriend and get laid. And we've talked about the problematic side of this too, but like I would just never sabotage a friendship in the name of like getting laid, because I just don't think it's worth it ever, unless you have feelings, which I feel like is different. But I wouldn't like try to sleep with them first and then be like, I have feelings. So I would have to like do it another way. I don't know. Anyway,
that leads on to our last question. Would you sleep with one of your friends if the opportunity arose?
Oh. And
53% of people said yes.
And 47% said no. And then someone messaged us and said, if I was single, I've slept with at least half of my friends. Who cares? Yeah, so I think it just definitely depends on, like, what kind of person you are. Because in, like, my whole friendship history, there's, like, not really anyone who I have been friends with waiting for the opportunity to sleep with them.
Yeah, but I feel like that's different than if the opportunity arose, because, like,
yeah,
it's either
it's like,
are you, like, secretly waiting for that to happen, or is it more like, oh well, like, if we were drunk and, like, we just happened to have sex, like, or not even drunk, like, you know, if it just happened, like, it's not a big deal. We could wake up the next day and, like, nothing would have changed because, like, sex is sex, and, like, it was just, you know, to scratch an itch almost kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Which I understand. I feel like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, I do get that.
I just feel like as we've been kind of trying to explain, I feel like I can't be, like, authentically friends with someone if I find them, like, if I'm actively attracted to them. So maybe if it was someone that I wasn't, like, actively attracted to, maybe it is really about, like, the friendships that you have and all of that kind of stuff, like the dynamic and everything. Like, for instance, like, if the thing that happened with our other friend that I was talking about, the friend that I've slept with, between us, I don't think anything would have changed. Like, I think we still would be able to, like, be friends, and I feel like it'd be almost, like, the same kind of thing of, like, it's just an unspoken thing. But I do feel like it would be weird. Like, very weird. Like, I don't see why, like, you'd want to do it.
Yeah. That's the thing. Is, like, I just think that I'm, like, too, like... I don't know, like, I just think about things too much for me to, like, just do something like that in the moment without having thought about, like, every possibility for, like, what that situation could lead to. But that's, like, a me problem, so anyway.
Wait, I just have a question. Like, what do you think is, like, your attitude towards sex in terms of how much it means, or
I don't know,
whatever.
because I used to, like, I was actually talking about this last night. Like, I used to just be like, like, whoever, whenever kind of thing. And then I feel like when I got herpes, I was like, I'm only gonna, like, sleep with people that treat me with respect and, like, don't make me feel shit about myself. And, like, that's kind of hard to reconcile with just, like, sleeping with anyone in a way. Like, and I also, because when I was sleeping with anyone, I mean, not that actually happened, but, like, when I was sleeping with people, like, new people regularly, I feel like I slept with, like, worse people that didn't treat me as well because of that, or, like, there was some kind of unspoken thing between us, and I didn't want to have that anymore. I just wanted to, like, feel good about myself and, like, only have sex if the other person was, like, willing to communicate about things and, like,
like, nice the bare minimum. What should be, like, the bare minimum,
just the bare minimum.
But sadly, it's not.
But then I feel like from that, my standards kind of, like, got a little bit too high along the way, and, like, now, because I've not had sex in so long as well, I feel like I think about it too much, and I don't think I'm, like, I don't know, I just don't really value sex that much. I think either because, like, I've kind of, like, cared less about it over time, or, like, because I just have that mindset of, like, oh, when it happens, it will happen, and not, like, I'm gonna go out and chase it all the time. Like, I find it really boring when people base their lives around trying to have sex, like, at all opportunities. Like, they're always looking for someone to sleep with. They're always, like, I just find
it's all about
really,
the pool. Yeah.
I just find it so tedious, and, like, I just don't really like to be around those kinds of people. But also maybe that's because I only have friends who are, like, in relationships and, like, don't really think about sex in that way at the moment, at least. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't really know what my attitude towards sex is the answer. Like, I feel like I'm open to it, but I don't feel like that sexual at like this point in my life, which I also have a lot of like internal conflict about. What about you?
I feel like I think that sex is a lot more deep than I used to. Like, I used to be very much like, oh yeah, like who cares? Like, sex is sex. It really doesn't mean anything. Like, and I still believe that. Like, I don't think sex has to mean anything. But I am much more like, yeah, like a bit more like, oh, I don't know if I would just like give it to anyone. Like, it's more like the standards have to be a little bit higher, I feel. And yeah, maybe it's like, it's not like so much of a scarcity thing. It's not that I'm like, oh, I need it. It's
You're not
more like
hungry for sex.
yeah, it's kind of more like, this is something that's like fun, but like there should be stuff at the baseline in place for you to feel like comfortable and safe and like all of those things. And I feel like I don't feel comfortable during sex a lot of the time, like, you know, and I've been in like nearly a 4-year relationship, so I feel like that's like a bigger priority for me, just like actually coming more into like myself and like the way that I actually think about sex and like actually understanding what that's like, and like in my way rather than like what I think I should think about it and all those things.
Yeah, no,
So,
I feel like
it's a
that's kind of
journey.
similar for me.
Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent, but I just thought it was like, maybe I think it's like relevant in the way that you think about sex to like when the line then crosses in friendship and all of those things.
And the way that you think about friendship as well, like those are kind of exactly what we're talking about. And I actually just realized that, like, I think it kind of changed when I slept with this guy in Bristol who I met on Tinder, but he was just like the nicest, like most respectful person, and it was like, this is exactly how sexual interactions should be. Not to say like, oh, I want to be with this person or anything, like, oh, I want to keep sleeping with him, but it just like showed me like, okay, this is how it can be, and like this is how it should be, and I shouldn't be surprised that people are like treating me with such like kindness and like going out of their way to make me feel comfortable. Just kind of set a precedent in a way.
No, because that's another thing, isn't it, as well, like with your friends, like sleeping with them, it would feel like so much easier than like sleeping with a stranger, because it's like, oh, I like this person, they're like really cool, I feel comfortable around them, why not, you know? So I completely see that logic, like it makes sense. But yeah, I don't know, I guess it's just whether like that line for you, like if it becomes blurred, is that a problem or is it not?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's like, we're kind of already in the main episode, I feel. We're in it, but let's just like move
keep
on.
Getting into it.
Okay. So the first thing we have is like, how do you differentiate between those like friendship, pure platonic feelings, and like the feelings of wanting to have sex with them or having feelings for them?
Like, how do you know that like the way you feel about someone is like more than just like, oh, they're my great friend and I really like them? Like, is there like an essence? I feel like it is kind of like an essence that everyone just sort of like feels it in themselves of like, oh, I like this person in a different way, but like what are those things that indicate that, you know what I mean? Like,
for me it's like a lot about my behavior around the person and like how I feel when I'm with them. Like, do I feel like, I don't know, like, because I obviously feel really excited to see my friends and I enjoy spending time with them, but it's more like with them I'm really living like in the moment. Like, if you ask me afterwards what we talked about, I couldn't really tell you. I'm just like, oh, I don't know, I had fun, like it was a good time. But if it's someone that I have feelings for, I feel like every kind of like moment with them is like, oh, this happened, like everything's like a notable kind of experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That does kind of make sense.
And then also, like how you actually interact with people, because like, you know, when you're flirting with someone, like, you know, your behavior changes.
Yeah.
Or like maybe you're not flirting with your friend because you're trying to hide the fact that you have feelings, but that is like moderating your behavior in a way still.
Yeah. So. I feel like you're more conscious of like the way you are around them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what you're wearing. Like, you know, like you want to look good and like all of those things. I don't know what else, because I was thinking, since you were saying that like when you're in a relationship and shit, like you don't it's not necessarily that you like want to spend all your time with that person, like you still want, like, your friendships are just as important or whatever, like that would be even harder, because I feel like for me it's very obvious. Like I feel like I'm very different around someone that I like versus someone that I'm friends with. Like not that like personality change, but like I'm very like obsessed, you know? So I feel like it's quite easy for me to tell if I actually like someone, because I'm like a lot more preoccupied with them than anything else. So like, is it a lot more subtle for you, or do you still feel that like intensity in the person?
I feel like, I feel not like intensity in the way that I think you feel it. Like I feel the feelings, but it's more like I'm holding myself back in a way of like, okay, but don't do that. But like, don't, you know, don't make it clear. Don't make a move, or like, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I try to not think about the fact that I have feelings for them.
Yeah.
But then obviously when I'm around them, it's like more, you know.
Yeah. And I feel like even though we are saying that it is like quite an like obvious change in the way that you like behave, or like the way that you feel around, I feel like it's actually not that obvious at all when you're actually going through it. Like it can be so confusing of like, do I just really like, I love this friendship, you know, like
oh, I just love friends.
Or like, what's happening?
Yeah.
I feel like it can be a lot. Like it can be very confusing.
Yeah. And I think everyone has their own kind of like path to figuring out that they have feelings for someone. And like I think you can be in denial about it for a while, but yeah, as I said, like for me, I know that I have actual feelings, especially because I don't really get feelings a lot. Like I really don't let myself do that, which is kind of what I'm saying. Like when it lasts for like longer than like 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, this is actually something, like a crush, not just like I have feelings for them. It's not just like
momentary attraction or like
what's gonna happen now kind of thing. But yeah, having said all that, I feel like it's not bad to catch feelings for your friend. Like I feel like obviously, as the polls show, the evidence that we scientifically acquired shows people do, like it just happens. And I think it's just like a fact of life that someone that you spend so much time with, someone that you get on with so well, there must be some like chemical process where the feelings that we have for our friends can just like switch,
go ham.
Yeah. They're on steroids. And like suddenly something switches in your mind.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people do beat themselves up about having feelings for a friend. Like, I don't know, for me, I'm like, that's so embarrassing. Like, that is the most embarrassing thing that can happen to me, to have a crush on a friend. Which, like, just to make it clear, like, I have had a crush on a friend, which is why I'm talking about it like this. I'm not just shaming everyone that has. But, like, it's just so embarrassing. I don't know why.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it becomes a problem when you're not sure how the other person feels.
Yeah, or like you've already set the precedent that you're friends. Like you are just friends, and then it's like, fuck, why did this just have to like happen out of nowhere? This is not how it's meant to be. But yeah, so are the feelings just feelings? Can you bury the feelings? Like where do you go from there? Like, do you like try and suss out if the other person has feelings too? Or do you just wait it out and see if your feelings go away? Or do you make a move even if you think the other person, like maybe there's some ballsy people out there that are really just making a move even if they're like not sure if the other person's into it.
Yeah, no. I mean,
I wish that could be me. I mean, no, but I wouldn't want to make an unsolicited move, but you know what I mean, like just see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's tricky because like I personally do kind of think like be honest about it and all of those kinds of things, because you know, you have to be honest, like in a friendship, like you can't have like a friendship based on lies. But then like it happened to me and my friend was honest and then I didn't like it. Like I was like, well, I wish that they just didn't say anything and then we could just continue in oblivion. And I don't know what the right answer is really, because I do feel like in a lot of cases, like, just not saying anything is probably the right thing, because like
it might
be
away.
fleeting, or like, yeah, like the friendship might just be like, oh, but then like once you catch feelings, like, is the friendship, isn't it already dying?
Yeah, exactly. and then
but then, like, what if you both, like, end up feeling the same? Like, you know, our friends, like, they were, like, best friends for years and years, and then one of them caught feelings and, like, was aware of it, and the other one was, like, kind of just burying it, and then they actually ended up feeling the same, and now they're together, and, like...
they've been together for years.
So happy, you know? So I do feel like, in a lot of ways, it can be, like, a risk. The thing is, it is a risk. It's a big risk, because you could lose your friendship, but I do think, like, it is a risk worth taking in a lot of cases.
But I think you have to have some kind of indication that the other person feels the same way. Like, I think otherwise it is kind of like a selfish move to express
but isn't it selfish to not, and, like, just be in love with them, and, like, they don't know?
Yeah, I guess so.
But then it's...
But if you can't help that, whereas you can help what you say to people and what you, like, convey.
So you think, like, if you're, like, into your friend and you have a feeling that they don't feel the same way, you should, like, shush.
Yeah, or, like, I think you can try to suss out if it's, like, a likely possibility. Like, with you, the situation that you were saying, like, someone expresses that they had feelings for you, one of your friends. There's no, like, indication that anything could happen, because you're in a relationship, and that's like a selfish move, because what were they trying to, like, get out of that in a way?
But this is what I'm saying, like, there is a world in which, like, okay, once you realize this, the friendship is already dying, because then I have to lie to your face every single time I see you, and, like...
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I don't know about you, but, like, if I had to lie to your face every single time I saw you, like, I just wouldn't want to see you anymore. Like, you'd start to feel, like, sick about it, you know what I mean? So, I do understand why you would want to be honest, because it's, like...
You just want to get it out.
It is, in a way, an attempt to save the friendship, even though it will kill it, but, like... Then
it also might not kill it. I think it just depends on the kind of person you are, and, like, obviously if you're friends with their person, you're not going to be, like, so offended that they have a crush on you. Hopefully you're not going to be like, ew. Like, you're gonna, if you're an empathetic person, probably have some kind of, like, sympathy towards the situation, and, like, try and understand where they were coming from. But I do also think then, like, where do you go from there? Because, like, you can't really be friends if one person has feelings and the other person has said that they're not interested. Like, maybe you can after a while, but for at least for a bit you can't be friends, I don't think. Or, like, can't, like, act as if nothing's happened and just try and go back to normal, because there's not really, like, a normality to go back to in the friendship, because at least part of that friendship was, like, based on one person having feelings. I think it depends on timing as well, and, like, how long the feelings have lasted. Like, if it's been your whole friendship, and, like, this was a whole other thing that we'll get into, then that's completely different. Like, if the whole friendship was based on that. But if it's just been, like, a short period, like, in the grand scheme of your friendship, then I think it's, like, there is something to go back to.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, I mean, I don't know, even though, like, in a lot of ways, like, it usually is the worst case scenario of, like, oh, okay, well, like, this has to be spoken, and, like, this will change things, and we might not be able to see each other, and, like, the friendship is ending, and all of those things. Like, in a lot of ways, I feel like that is still better than, like, staying in a friendship in which you're just gonna, like, carry on developing feelings, and, like, it could just be so much worse. And yeah, it could end up that they end up having feelings for you back, but, like, I just feel like it's not worth, like, the risk and the torture of just, like, falling more and more, like, in love or whatever with the person that just doesn't see you in the same way.
And I think sometimes not voicing feelings can, like, it can be very self-indulgent, like you're saying. Like, yeah, you can just get very, like, caught up in your own fantasy of what's going on when that's not actually reflected in reality. So yeah, I do get that, like, voicing that does kind of put a stop to that one way or the other, but it's easier said than done.
Yeah, way easier. I mean, yeah, it's really hard to like let go of someone that you clearly like don't want to let go of, even when you know it's hurting you.
Yeah.
So I have a sympathy for that.
Yeah, it's rough times. But yeah, then what if they're like not really a good friend? Is it worth making the move? Should you like if you're friends but like not enough to be like, if I'm not friends with this person anymore, then like,
well, I feel like in that case then it's like even less risk.
Yeah,
you can just like say it and like whatever, fuck it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But maybe not, I don't know. Maybe you value your like distant friendships more than I do.
Maybe. Okay, what about those like pacts that people make with their friends?
Like, let's get married if we're not married by the time we're 40 or whatever.
Yeah. Do you think that like, I don't know anyone.
People actually do
I know, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I don't know anyone that's actually followed through with it. But like, do you think if that happens, then it's like inevitable that it will kind of develop into a friendship? Or do you think by that point in your life, if you're still friends with the person you made the pact with, it's like your friendship is so solidified that it's really not going any other place by that point?
I mean, I see it in terms of like I probably wouldn't go the step into like actually marrying them or anything, but like if someone's been friends with you for like that long, whenever you made the pact or whatever, like I don't know, can be many like different amounts of years or whatever, but like as you said, if you've maintained a friendship for that long, like in a lot of ways friendships can be like partnerships, and you know, like your friend can be like your life partner in many ways, and like at any stage of your life really. So I feel like it makes a lot of sense in that no one wants to like go through life alone or whatever. So if you can have, you know, this idea of like, okay, yeah, we'll do it together forever. I don't know. I don't think that like a lot of the time those pacts, like I still think those people like probably wouldn't want to have sex with their friend and all of those things. But I just mean like in terms of like life partnership, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, and I think that that's like something that should be normalized. Like, why is it not? I would like 1,000 times rather know that I'm gonna end up like living my life with one of my like closest friends than like worry about finding some man to live with. Like, I'm sorry, that just sounds so much better.
Yeah, I do think that should be way more normalized though, because I bet there's plenty of people that just like don't want to be in like a forever relationship, but like they can just be in a forever friendship and then just like date or like
and
do
like
have sex with other people, you know?
Like, and why should you not live with them and like have little dinner dates and like have your house and like do all the things that
even like raise a kid together?
Yeah, like genuinely, why not? Because this is something that I genuinely worry about. Sorry, this is a side note, but like I really worry about having to raise a kid with someone else, especially a man, because I just don't know that like they would raise a kid the way that I want to.
Whereas, just don't know that men can.
I just don't know that men can do it. They can't even look after themselves.
That was like so irrelevant.
Go follow us on Patreon if you just wanted to hear like the biggest segue about how we are gonna raise our kids.
Yeah, honestly.
Anyway, so yeah. So let's move into sex and like boundaries with friends. I think that's a good segue.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have talked a little bit about like what we think about it.
Yeah. The thing that I really struggle with is like the idea of like an ulterior motive being had by one person. Like, okay, so you know those videos on TikTok where there's like a girl walking down the street. It's probably scripted, but whatever, let's just pretend for the sake of this conversation that it's not. And some guy is like interviewing her, like, do you have a guy best friend? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, are you gonna fuck? And she's like, no. He knows for sure that like that's off the table, that's not an option. He's like, okay, call him right now, ask him if he wants to Netflix and chill. And she does, and the guy's like, I've been waiting like my whole life for this to happen, like, are you kidding me? Like, so excited about it. Like, that is my worst nightmare. And I think by us like not having close guy friends, we're not facilitating that in any way. But the idea that like someone, because like obviously we're bi, so like the idea that someone, like one of our friends, and I'm not saying that this is actually going on, but that they are like in love with us, or like think that like there's like hope that there's some kind of possibility that anything could happen if you like gave them the opportunity. That makes me really sad. And I was talking to like this guy who I am semi-friends with, I guess, and we were talking about just like sex in general, blah blah blah. And we were talking about like, would you sleep with your friends? Like, what do you do? Basically, this conversation that we're having. And he was like, yeah, because I would never make a move on a lot of my female friends, but if they made a move on me or like gave me the chance, then like I would sleep with them. And I was like, really? That is wild. That's wild. I don't really have anyone like that, really.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I'm just wondering whether, like, because it's like guys and like sex and like being sexualized and like all of these like things that are quite uncomfortable, that's why like there's such a discomfort to it. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, I don't know. And I also think that I see it through like a lens of like being in a relationship. Because I don't know whether like I would feel differently if I wasn't.
Yeah. Well, I think we're also being like very heteronormative right now, I just realized, because like obviously in queer relationships there's so much like you're friends with the people that you slept with, and like that's not a big deal. So yeah, I do get what you're saying. Like I think because it's a guy, that adds that level of discomfort. I don't know, I think I have like a different mindset about like nudity, for example. Like I would just be like half naked around my friends and like not think about it. But I think that like I wouldn't really do that with guys in a way, because I don't want to be sexualized.
Yeah.
And I think it's like knowing what the other person is thinking, that's the issue. Like if you don't know what someone else is thinking, that's what makes it scary. And like,
but then like why is it like it's easy to trust that like I'm bi, it's easy to trust that I'm like not sexualizing you, but why it's like not easy to trust that a guy isn't, even if like, you know it's hard because we also don't have like best friends that are guys, like straight men.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, maybe guys just do think differently about sex, or like we were saying with like your friend who has feelings for you. Like I think that a lot of the time, and I obviously don't want to generalize, like men are a lot less like emotionally aware, and I think that those wires can get crossed really easily. Like I think you can confuse friendship and having feelings for someone, or like wanting to have sex with someone a lot, because there's also like this male like entitlement to sex that goes with things as well. Like you're there, so like why would you not have sex, kind of thing. Yeah, I think it is about like the activeness of it. Like if you're actively thinking every time like, oh, we could just have sex right now, then that's kind of deep.
I find it deeply uncomfortable like when two people in the same dynamic have different ideas of what's happening, you know? Like I don't think that that's fair.
Yeah.
In like, and I wouldn't want to be in that position where like I'm friends with someone and like they would shag me but I wouldn't shag them, you know? And like, not that that has to mean anything, like to be honest, it's not that big of a deal, but they're seeing the friendship and like the dynamic differently to what I see it. And there's something that I just don't like about that, like for me, myself and I. And it's also weird because like also this whole male and like sexualization aspect of it, because I also feel like we're so geared to like wanting male attention, or like at least that's how I feel like, and like the way that I behave is like quite like indicative of that in a lot of ways. I don't know, like for instance, like in this friendship, like I feel like a lot of the parts that felt really nice about it and I liked about it is because like this guy was being like really nice to me, and like even if maybe in the back of my mind I like felt that that could be the case, like it's nice to feel desired and like feel like someone liked you. So even that like imbalance in the dynamic, like obviously like there are parts about it that are nice and can be nice, you know what I mean? But again, like it's a different dynamic to what we like signed up for, or like to what I thought was going on, or like what maybe even he thought was going on, you know? I just feel like when like two people feel differently about something, like it creates all of this sort of like insecurity and like unsurety about what's actually going on and like what the relationship actually is.
Yeah.
And I don't really like that, and I don't really think it's fair.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you both feel the same about like sex, or like both feel the same about like what's going on in the friendship of like, yeah, if it happened, like we would shag, but we probably won't, you know, like if you're both aware. And I get that that's like kind of impossible, because even in your friendships it's very hard to be 100% transparent, like, and have those kinds of conversations. I don't think most people do. But I don't know, obviously you're not always going to be 100% like clear and sure about what exactly the dynamic is to both people. Like you can't get into someone's head and like see their perception of things. But I would like that to be like as close as possible, if I'm being honest. Like I don't even like it when I think I like someone more than they like me as friends. Like I hate that. Like I need it to be even, otherwise I can't feel like I can be close with you like that.
Yeah, because there are some people that I'm like, I consider you like a really good friend, but I don't know if you think the same way about me. And like,
and that like puts a boundary that like doesn't let you be like as yourself, or like get as close to someone as you could, because there's always this like, oh, like do they like me, like what's going on, like I don't know.
But I also think that, just going back to the whole like men having an ulterior motive, there are 100% women that will do the same thing with guys. Like I don't want to ignore that fact, because I feel like I have heard of a lot of instances of that happening. And like I think that the difference is, for guys to have an ulterior motive with women, that seems a lot scarier to us than like women having an ulterior motive to men. Like I obviously don't know, because I'm not a man, but I think that like men wouldn't be threatened by that idea. They wouldn't maybe see the friendship as like undermined by that, whereas maybe the other way it is. I don't know. Anyway, obviously if you've been in any situation like this, we want to know what you think, so just like correct me if I'm wrong, because I genuinely am interested, like what that's like. I don't know. I've never had like a friend confess that they have feelings for me, so who's out there secretly being in love with me? Please don't. I'd cry. I think I'd actually cry if someone told me they had feelings for me. I'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah. I don't know. It's sucky.
Yeah, it sucks.
But it must be suckier for them, to be honest.
True. And then I guess you just have to like put them in the friend zone.
Are you trying to segue, honey?
No. Never.
Yeah, should we talk about the elusive friend zone?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that it really goes with this sort of like ulterior motive thing, and like, I don't know. I'd never really had this like problem with the friend zone chat and like all of this thing, but
I don't know, recently I have. I never really thought about it, because I think at first it really started as like a harmless kind of like label for when guys have feelings for a girl and she's like not interested or whatever. But I feel like the more that you think about it, the more it's like, I don't know if guys make friends with people that they don't like, with girls that they don't find attractive. And like, I don't think that they'd like be friends with people in the or like think to talk to people enough to like find out that they want to be friends with them. Because I think that like guys don't really give people the time of day. And obviously, again, this is a generalization, but like when it comes to like actively trying to make a friend, like you don't really seek out people unless someone's just there, kind of thing. Then you'd make a friend with them. But like, anyway, this is all getting very like nebulous. But
yeah, I feel like women do that too, though. Like, you know, like I feel like people seek out conversations and like all of that, even if it's for the sake of friendship with people that they tend to find attractive. And I I do think maybe it's more of a man thing of like, you know, it's like definitely a thing where like plenty of girls that like don't feel like they're conventionally attractive or like all of those things, they feel like that because they have been treated like that, and they've been like, they've talked about it. I've seen like so many videos of like, you know, how like girls will go to a party and like one of the girls in the group will literally be completely ignored without fail, like everywhere they go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like not even just in terms of like pulling, like it's like just conversations and making friends, and like I don't know, it's like really gross. And
yeah, it is really gross. But yeah, this is why I have a problem with the term the friend zone, because I feel like it is used in kind of like a passive aggressive way. It's not just like an acceptance of like, oh, I am just like a friend to this person and nothing more. It's like she put me in, or like he put me in the friend zone, and like it's like a bitterness behind it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't know. To me, my problem with it a little bit is that like I feel like the opportunity to reject someone or like say no to like those kinds of advances and those kinds of things are actually so much harder than people realize. Like, it's, to me, it's just not as simple as like a guy's making a move on you, or like a guy that is your friend and you like just shutting them down. Like shutting someone down full on is like a very hard thing to do. And I don't think most people do that on a daily basis, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just feel like this whole like, oh, she's like leading me on, like I can't believe that like she wouldn't just like say that, like that she didn't want to be with me. It's like, she tried. Like I feel like a lot of the time people try, you know, like try to reject, like women try to reject men, try to say no.
Yeah.
And like when that is kind of like ignored or like not taken that seriously, or you know what I mean, like it is really hard to straight up be like, I don't find you attractive, I don't want to be with you. Like no one's gonna just straight up say that. Like you are also expected to be nice, because also when you do turn around and say that, a lot of the time men will just be like, oh well, you're a fucking bitch, like you're a slut anyway, like you know, all the insults. It's like, this is all like learned behavior. It's like so I don't know, that's my little problem with it, that and it comes from a place of like, you owe me something, and if you don't like straight up say the words, like you're leading me on. Yeah, and exactly. I just don't think that's true. I think like men need to be able to take hints a lot more seriously, and like, yeah, maybe it shouldn't be about hinting, like it should be that like women should be more straight up, but I don't think we have been given the space to do that. Yeah. So like right now it's the best that we can do.
Yeah.
Okay?
And I think it's just like assumed that if you're there and you like give someone your time and you're just like a woman, that like you want to have sex with them, and it's like that's not how it works. Like you might just genuinely enjoy their company, and that's really shit. But then it also like is really hard, I guess, because like what if you genuinely want to make a move? Like what about like nice guys, or like not even nice guys, like just full on nice men, like they
kind men.
Yeah, they are kind people and they're considerate. Like, yeah, what if they have feelings for you and they want to make a move, but they don't want it to come across like that? Like I get that again kind of like adds that boundary and like that wall of like, how do I do that, or how do I cross that line without making it seem like I expect this, or like I feel entitled to this from this person. And I think it's really hard, and that's why I think like a lot of the time if girls made a move, then guys would kind of take the chance, because sometimes like it can't be the other way around. But then I don't know if that's like empowering or what that really means.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe also like should give more grace in terms of like, okay, if someone makes a move, like that doesn't mean that we can't be friends. Or like, because at least in my situation it was very much like I was told the truth about the situation, but like my friend didn't want to make a move, like he didn't want anything to happen, or like for us to be together and all of these things. Like he was clear about that. So even though he was like very much like saying that he's like not sexualizing me and like not all of these things, I still can't like fully just go into the situation. And I don't know if it's like because I'm in a relationship and like that's setting like an extra boundary or whatever it is, but like I can't go into the situation feeling like completely comfortable and like just friendship vibes, you know,
Yeah.
even though he has expressed that that's what he wants and that's the way he like does ultimately feel.
Yeah, and I also don't want to discount that, like, it is hard for people to make that move in the first place. Like, yeah, it's super hard to reject people, especially as women. It is also hard for guys.
It's way harder
to
like, yeah, it's a lot hard. It's really hard to also make yourself vulnerable. Like,
Yeah.
no one wants to feel like vulnerable.
And no one wants to be rejected. Like, it's shit. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, these are all like facts of life that we all just have to come to terms with, in the same way that like you're probably gonna end up sleeping with one of your friends, the same way that you're probably gonna end up having feelings for a friend at some point, and then you have to decide what to do with that, because that's just like being an adult and being a human, and like that's something that I am coming to terms with. And yeah, I'm sure like so many people are too. And like because sex is so charged, and like because like everyone is kind of like trying to, you know, find someone to sleep with, or like find something, whether it's a friendship, a relationship, or like someone to sleep with. Yeah, it's like a very charged thing to be in, like negotiating your place in someone's life. And I don't really have any advice for that, but yeah, hopefully we've kind of like helped unpack.
Yeah. I mean, clearly it's a very, like, and the polls we saw at the start, like, this has happened to lots of people, and I feel like it's very common, and as we said, it's a very fine line, and yeah, I feel like it makes sense, because it's hard to really like people in this world, you know, as friends or as more, and like, when you like form a connection with someone, like, yeah, the lines can be blurred.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I think it's just like, you mostly just have to be like honest with yourself with these things when these things happen, like as much as you can. And I feel like that can sometimes be the hardest thing, because you don't necessarily know how you feel or like what you want.
Yeah.
Because it's all so confusing. But
yeah, but being honest with yourself is the first step to like being in the right direction, you know. So
yeah, and if you guys have any like friendships turning into more than friendship stories, we'd love to hear some more success stories and stuff like that. I mean, 2 of our friends like are in relationships now from friendships, so like we know that that's like a very popular avenue, and I feel like we didn't talk that much about it. We talked more about the problems, but I mean, it happens all the time. Like, literally, I feel like it's like the most common way to meet like your life partner or whatever the fuck, like, in your friends.
There is so much stigma around it, but like if you ask people like how would you want to like get into a relationship, I feel like a lot of people are like, yeah, I'd want to be friends first.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, I don't think that it should be such a like scary thing, but it's like as long as you're honest, then it shouldn't have to be like that.
Yeah, so, and I feel like most of the time it will be reciprocated.
Yeah, exactly. Like most people aren't like maliciously trying to be someone that they're not, or like convey that they feel differently to how they actually do. So we just have to remember that. We just have to remember that. Sometimes I just feel like we make up these problems and then we just talk about it for an hour and no one else feels the same way. But hopefully not. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of our friendship mini-series. There may be more to come. We'll find out. Yeah, we also have a whole episode about like fuck buddies and like friends with benefits. So if you want to listen to that, go listen to it. It's in season 1. It's called Fuck Buddy. And then oh yeah, we have an episode called Falling for Your Friend with Matilda. That's also in season 1, so go listen to that.
And can you be friends with your ex? I feel like we talk about some similar things.
Exactly.
So yeah, we have lots of related episodes already out there and more to come. So yeah, keep coming back. Check the website if you want to find any of the old episodes or anywhere you get your podcasts.
And please go subscribe to our Patreon. You can watch the whole video podcast there. You can also watch video podcasts from season 2 on our YouTube, which is Sextras Podcast. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Sextras Podcast, because we have like loads more content on there and like little clips, whatever you want to watch or like read or whatever. So yeah, go find us at all those places, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
You've been listening to Sextras, presented by Honey Jane Wyatt and Maria Jose Hayodatiyi, produced by Mabel Productions.